finally a Queen video. Hey guys, so today I'm finally doing a Queen video, and it's gonna be a creepy-ish kind of Queen video. For some reason, when you try to look up Queen conspiracy theories or Queen subliminal messages, usually not a whole lot comes up. I'm gonna have to be doing just my own research for the most part. So the first song we're gonna talk about, I was actually thinking of making a whole video on just the song alone, which I might if you guys want me to. And that song is Bohemian Rhapsody. If you've ever heard Bohemian Rhapsody, there's a lot going on. It's definitely, I think, one of, if not the best song. So many people have tried to figure out what it's about, but Freddie always says that he will never tell what Bohemian Rhapsody is about.
And I like that, actually. I mean, it's a nice escape for me from the writer's point of view, but I think from the listener's point of view, it's nice that they can make up different interpretations. So basically, if you ask me what it's all about, I would say it is tongue-in-cheek, and it's not to be taken too seriously.
If he told his meaning of Bohemian Rhapsody, it might ruin another person's meaning for it. I feel like that makes a lot of sense, but some people feel like maybe it was just really personal for Freddie, and he just didn't feel like, you know, explaining all that personal stuff. Either way, there's two big meanings of what the song could possibly be. So some people think that the general meaning of the whole song is pretty straightforward. People think that the general meaning is that it's about a man that comes from a regular family and that he kills someone and that he goes to court, no one believes him, and he ends up on death row and he's gonna die. Basically the whole song is saying, Mama just killed a man, I don't want to die, I sometimes wish I'd never been born at all so I didn't make this stupid decision on killing someone. I don't really like this meaning because I don't feel like the song is meant to be straightforward personally, and it all makes sense, I think, until you get to the operatic part of the song, and then that's when it kind of just, you know, gets a little confusing. Scaramouche, Scaramouche, will you do the fandango? Like, what does that mean? That has nothing to do with killing someone, really. I was looking on Reddit and people were trying to explain how that theory could make sense, and they say that the operatic part in the song is because they're debating in the courtroom. But to me, that still didn't make a lot of sense. I actually hated this next meaning, but honestly, it makes a lot of freaking sense, so I think I'm kind of starting to believe it. A lot of people believe that Bo Rap is all about Freddie's coming out. This used to bother me because I feel like sometimes everyone looks back on Freddie's songs and thinks that it's ways of him covering up his sexuality by deeper messages. I don't know, it just kind of bothers me when people say that a lot of his songs are about him being gay. Like, I Want to Break Free, which wasn't even written by him, it was written by John. I don't think everything has to be linked to Freddie's sexuality, even though that was a part of him. That's not the only part of him. But this, I have to say, does make a lot of sense. So this comes from someone on Reddit as well. The person on Reddit is Distorted Carrot. So the first lines of the song are the realization of him being gay or bi. Some people say Freddie's bi, some people say he's just gay. I don't really care either way. That doesn't stop me from loving my boo Freddie. So it says, is this real life? Is this just fantasy? So am I really gay? Am I not? The next lines show that someone's angry with him for being gay. It mentions look up to the sky and see, which they're interpreting it, look up to the sky and see God, and God will tell you that what you're doing is wrong. The whole Mama, I just killed a man is basically comparing homosexuality to murder. Obviously there's no connection with that. We all know that's insane and that homosexuality and murder are two different things, and there's nothing wrong with being homosexual. But back then, I'm sure times were very different. So basically his mom is comparing homosexuality to murder. He goes on to say, now I've gone and thrown it all away, which means no one will like him if he's gay. He feels like no one's gonna really care for him because of his sexuality. Didn't mean to make you cry. He's apologizing to his mom. And then he goes on to say, if I'm not back again this time tomorrow, carry on, carry on. That line shows that he may be thinking of committing suicide, which is so dark, but that makes sense. It all is kind of making sense. Now the operatic part. Silhouette of a man. The silhouette of a man is not him, just his past self. Scaramouche, which I had no idea what a Scaramouche was, but it's actually from Italian literature. Basically, Scaramouche is a character who boasts about himself a lot, but he's actually a coward. It kind of looks like a clown. Not like the It Clown or nothing, but the fandango is a dance that came from Europe. It can also be sung. They say that with Scaramouche, who's a coward, who's boastful, and then with this dance, sense, it's like he's being controlled by the public. Now the Galileo part is freaking awesome. Everyone was confused by the Galileo part, which I was as well. The person that commented on the Galileo part actually deleted their account, but it's pretty genius. So Copernicus believed in a theory called the heliocentric theory, which is that the Earth and the planets revolve around the sun. And Galileo also believed in this theory, but no one else believed it because the church really did not like that theory at all. It went against what they practiced. But even though Galileo simply just supported it, he ended up being sentenced to life in prison. That definitely connects with what Freddie's talking about. And the rest of the song is just pretty brutal. It's so you think you can stone me and spit in my eyes, so you think you can love me and leave me to die, is just a backlash of what people are saying about his sexuality and how it's messed up that people are so focused on his sexuality rather than other qualities about himself. And any way the wind blows doesn't really matter to me. I don't know, that line wasn't really talked about on the Reddit post, but to me, if anything has hinted at Freddie's sexuality, it has been that line. Whether you're a guy or a girl, it doesn't matter to me. Now, I might be interpreting that wrong, but it's just an interpretation of what it means, but that's what it's always meant to me. Anyway, so that covers those two top theories of what Bo Rap could be about. Another theory is that Bohemian Rhapsody is about AIDS. Well, obviously, Bo Rap was in the 70s. Allegedly, Freddie was not diagnosed with HIV until the 80s, and even though AIDS has been around long before the 80s, I don't feel like Freddie would have known that he had it in the 70s. I don't think it's anything about AIDS. I feel like that was just too ahead of what Freddie was going through. Freddie could have definitely had it in the 70s because AIDS can take up to 10 years for you to even notice any side effects, but I feel like Freddie truly did not know he had AIDS then, and maybe he didn't even have AIDS yet. Who knows? But yeah, I don't believe in that theory. Alright, so Fat Bottom Girls. This one's not as intense. This one's gonna take a little less time to talk about. Brian wrote that one, which is just shocking to me. Brian's like this little science nerd, like cute little guitar boy, and then he writes a song about big fat ass. So, and it was definitely, I think, the first big booty song because I Like Big Butts came way later. So, but some people think that this song actually has a much deeper and darker meaning, and that is that Fanny, the nanny, was actually sexually abusing either Freddie or the person that is in the song. I'm pretty sure the song is either referencing to Brian or Freddie. There's a line where it says, "Left alone with big fat Fanny. She was such a naughty nanny. Hey big woman, you made a bad boy out of me." And what's even more shocking is, "I knew life before I left my nursery." So some people think that shows signs of molestation. Now that is so dark and fucked up. I will admit, it just didn't really fit with the rest of the song. Big fat Fanny, like, yeah, she's a big girl, you know, she got a booty, but she was such a naughty nanny. I knew life before I left my nursery. It's kind of weird. So Shane Dawson talked about this. He did a video about subliminal messages, and Queen was actually in it, which had me shook. And it was their song, Another One Bites the Dust. Basically, if you play the song backwards, you will hear it's fun to smoke marijuana. Another one bites the dust, hey, hey! Another one bites the dust, hey, hey! That's interesting. I mean, I definitely feel like Freddie and pretty much everyone else in the band probably did smoke marijuana at least once because, you know, they're just rock stars, and I know that getting involved in drugs and everything isn't good, but I think we can all say that they had their fair share of drugs and alcohol. Just thank God they never got addicted to any of it. Alright, the song Great King Rat is pretty interesting because Freddie actually kind of predicted his death just a little bit. I don't think this one is super significant because there were details that were majorly off, but there was just two things in particular that just were so creepy to me. So one of the lines is, "Great King Rat died today, born on the 21st of May, died of syphilis, 44 on his birthday." So assuming that the Great King Rat is Freddie, he's saying that Great King Rat died when he was 44, which is actually a year before Freddie died, and also he died of syphilis, which is a STD. Kind of weird. Now obviously actually, it's pretty wrong because born on the 21st of May, obviously Freddie was born in September, was not born in May or on the 21st. It is kind of weird how in the song it mentions an STD and someone dying a year before Freddie died. This one is insane. I can't believe people don't talk about it more, and that is the crazy amount of Christian messages in Queen songs. I just got a whole list of everything I found talking about Jesus, especially the Queen 1 album. Like, Queen 1 was Jesus galore. It was Jesus central for Queen, okay? Their song Jesus, I mean it's literally called Jesus, is part of the story of Jesus of Nazareth. My Fairy King is about Samson, who had really long hair. He made him strong. He was a judge in the Old Testament. Liar starts out with I have sinned to your father, so Freddie's literally reaching out to God. The Prophet song is all about Noah's Ark and the Great Flood. Son and daughter, Freddie mentions teacher and fisher of men, which has to do with Jesus, obviously. The Miracle says if all God's people could be free to live in perfect harmony, love me like there's no tomorrow. Tomorrow, God knows just where I'll be. All of this is just interesting to me because Freddie never said himself that he was a Christian. He actually grew up learning a totally different religion, which I will totally butcher the name of. I'll just put the name right here. But that was his religion growing up. When they had his funeral, that was how his funeral was arranged. I can definitely tell that maybe even if Freddie didn't have a connection, he knew stuff about the Bible. I mean, maybe it wasn't all Freddie's doing. Maybe it was the other Queen members. I mean, I know that John was Catholic, but still, I mean, some of these songs are written by Freddie. It just interests me, and his own solo song says tomorrow God knows just where I'll be, and there's so many more that do reference God, but those are just a few. That one's not really creepy, but I just wanted to mention it because I just think it's interesting. Alright, this one actually had me shook. This is the fact that in the March of the Black Queen, Freddie says the N-word. There's a line in the March of the Black Queen that has been edited over the years. If you look at lyric videos of this song, most people take out the N-word and put in another word. This is the line that I'm talking about. A little dab of sugar than a rub-a-dub of baby oil. That's one of the translations, but the actual saying is a little N-word sugar than a rub-a-dub of baby oil. It's actually an expression that refers to raw sugar that came from Africa. I know that this alarms a lot of people. It alarmed me because the N-word just has a lot of meaning behind it, and it's not something, especially as a white person, that you can just throw around. And I know that Freddie wasn't like as white as me. He was pretty exotic, you know. It's no excuse, but I will say it was definitely a different time. I'm sure that Freddie meant no offense. Either way, March of the Black Queen is still an amazing song. I still love it. I don't know, I never knew that because I always looked at the lyric videos, but if you listen to the recording, you can hear them say the N-word. There's one other song that I really wanted to talk about in this video, but gosh, my camera has already run out of space once. But that is I'm gonna butcher this. The Fairy Teller's Masterstroke, which is based off of a painting. It's a Queen song. It's freaking awesome. We'll be doing a whole video on that most likely because there's so much behind it. The shout out for this week is Lindsay Martin. I actually have her last name too, which is crazy. I know most people just have their first name on Snapchat. Lindsay, thank you so much for following me. You saw me do a throwback to my emo phase on Snapchat. Just thank you so much for watching my videos. I know we recently started talking on Snapchat. Hopefully my next video will be a Michael subliminal message video. I love you guys so much. Bye!